Hello, welcome to another episode of Unlock Your Soul Magic with Nikki Joshi. And today I want to talk about shifting identities as a spiritual practice to help you achieve your goals and dreams and manifest what you desire. From my own personal experience and something I'm in the midst of right now as well. So, I want you to bring to mind intention, a goal, something that you're working towards. Maybe it's just as simple as experiencing more peace and ease in your day to day life. Maybe it is you are going after a career goal of some sort in your job. Maybe you're trying to manifest your next role or job. Maybe it's relationship related that you're ready to call in a romantic relationship of some sort. Maybe it's a friendship that's in person, that's deeply nourishing for you. Maybe it's a child or another child. Maybe it's the next level in your current partnership, marriage, whatever relationship you might be thinking about. It could even be relationships with siblings, parents, or other relatives that you wanted to evolve in a certain way, and it's something that you've been calling in for a while. There's also many more intentions and goals you might have around health, or money, or finances, or stability, or emotional and mental well-being. All of those are welcome. There's so much that we can name, and I hope that by me stating all of those, you're able to hold that energy in your heart right now. Even just no matter how you're feeling about your journey on this goal, towards this goal or intention, like it's easy to get bogged down or become cynical. I feel like that's the most dangerous thing, if you will, because when you go into cynicism and this heaviness is where you lose hope and you can't see the possibility as clearly. And we want to be able to experience possibilities and potentialities. Why else would we come here to be human? Because despite being in this physical body, we are energetic beings. We can imagine, we can create, we can take a concept that's in our mind and in our heart and bring it into reality somehow. I think that's really cool. And we have to work with the resistance of the physical world, the contrast of the physical world, the not having that comes with having, the not experiencing, the knots that come with, if I can call it that, with what you want. And that contrast can be hard, and we can make meaning and stories out of that, in that when we don't have something that we deeply desired, or it's not happening in a timeline in a way that you want, there's a lot of control, there's a lot of attachment that can come through, because hey, you want it to happen. It sucks to be here, it's hard to be where you're at, and you know what can feel better, and you want it right now. Sometimes these are very important life needs. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like you need more money, you need more stability, you need a safer place to live, you want a different job that's not going to drain you or stress you out. Those are very fundamental needs, and I find it can be hard to bring in spiritual principles, to look at the energy of it all, to practice gratitude, like the things that you hear when you just need to get a different job, you need to figure out money from somewhere. I'm picking that as an example, but it could be health, it could be something else for you. It's okay for you to not be able to do this in a spiritually led, intuition led way, because it is hard. And when we are so pulled into physical reality, it is difficult to then go back up into what can feel floaty and energetic and being in this observer or witness mode when you are in survival mode, really. And that is okay. I just want to offer that if you're feeling like you're not being spiritually perfect, like I'm giving myself this permission slip as I'm offering it to you when I've had seasons where things felt harder. I am not leaning into my spiritual practices as much. I'm not meditating as much. I'm doing things that are much more physical and embodied. Like, can I move and exercise more? Can I listen to music and dance? Can I just listen to music and feel it in my heart? Can I do some art? Can I take 5 minutes and play with my daughter if I'm able to be that present and grounded? I find that's what my spiritual practice ends up looking like. If I can't sit and meditate and channel and receive downloads and ideas from my higher self, true self, soul self, that's okay. I think that's a very important level of acceptance, to be okay with that. Like, I can't practice living my life in that way right now, and that's okay. And I want to invite you to consider a little more intellectual level of processing. This can go much deeper into subconscious and somatic work too, but I feel like for today, maybe another episode I'll cover more. We'll see. You let me know in the comments or send me an email. If you're not on my email list, the Akashic Insights weekly email series, weekly-ish I'll call it. I also give myself space at times to not send it when I don't have the energy or the pull. But those emails are full of channeled wisdom and lots of love and perspective shifts to help you navigate the contrast of our 3D lives and remember your soul self is really my intention through those channelings and messages. So I invite you to join that newsletter, my soul friend mailing list as I call it, through the links that you see around this video. And that's where you can always hit reply and message me as well and share. And if you're watching this as a video, there's space to comment below. So I want to come back to this intellectual level of processing that I mentioned. I have been very intentional lately about identities that I am working with, that I'm stepping into. And an identity that I have been stepping into for a while now is being a business owner, an entrepreneur. And even more so with that is being this magical being, like, oh, I can work with energy, I can channel, I can do all these things. I say that, and I want you to receive that it is possible for you too. If you've ever been curious or interested, these are all skills that we can learn. I learned these for fun and realized how pretty great I am at them. Like, wow, this is a gift. How do I use more of this gift, because it makes me feel so good and makes me feel so fulfilled to use them. And yes, that part of the identity is very much present in there, but I want to say identities are this fickle thing. It's so easy for us to don an identity, like, oh, I joined a new job and here I have this identity of being a consultant or whoever. And when I started this business, it was me intentionally bringing forth and like making it come front and center, this identity of being a healer and a psychic and a channeler and a coach, all of these identities that they were always there. Like, I'd always been so fascinated with telekinesis, for example, and ESP, extrasensory perception. And I think I once came across an Akashic Record Reader's website very randomly, almost 20 years ago now. and thought, oh wow, that person must be so cool, and paged away from that website thinking, well, that's cool, but never thought that could be a possibility for me. And I want to offer that we can play with identities. It's such an important step when we are trying to step towards big goals, big dreams, and manifestations, is understanding what we think at an identity level and who do we need to be, who are we when we are the person who has what we're dreaming of, is a very powerful question to ask yourself. And maybe this is something that you can practice in your journal tonight at some point, is who do I need to be in order to be the person who has what I'm dreaming of. Another way you can ask it is, what does my future self think, or how does she, he, they act, such that they're at ease with receiving this goal, this dream that they're manifesting. You could also ask that question to yourself in that way too. I will say, personally, I used to get very intimidated with future self anything. Like, I was like, future self is a lot. How far ahead can I think? Man, what if she's super cool and powerful? Like, I just was very intimidated by that whole exercise, and I just felt a lot of resistance. And maybe if that applies to you, try on what works for you. It doesn't have to look like future self. It just can be calling in someone you trust, or it could be a much loved but passed on grandparent. It could be a guide, a god, and you can just call them in your journaling practice. Finding a quiet 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It could be in your car and you're on your phone and journaling. It doesn't have to look elaborate. It is good if you are newer to a journaling practice to set aside maybe 30 minutes or so just to give yourself space to be grounded and drop in. Maybe by listening to some music, lighting a candle, having a nice cup of tea or some warm drink that feels soothing to your nervous system. And ask yourself these questions, because these are such powerful questions that get to the identity that you are calling in. And with that question, I feel like I've gotten chills, and I feel like my guides want to add this next question. If you understand more about the identity you're stepping into, can you also ask yourself what parts of this identity are scary, or I don't know if I can be her or them. Like, can I? Really? Is that possible for me? And I think parts of that identity that are harder for me to be fully expressed as a healer in this soul business that I've been building is believing and trusting that I can make money in a way that really supports me and my lifestyle. I think that has been the hardest part for me so far. And I also know why. Like, it comes in conflict with values I have of accessibility. I am someone who moved to the United States not too long ago, 10, 12 years ago. And I remember a time where I would be converting all the price points into rupees back in India and doing the math and thinking, okay, well, that's pretty expensive, and just really being very thoughtful about spending to, yes, I've more wealth that I can count in dollars, that now I can buy things that past me would not have been able to comprehend. So how would she have called this future self me in? She just stepped into the identity of, I'm a consultant, I'm someone who works hard and makes money. Like, those were the identities that I stepped into, and that's how I got to this place. And sometimes after a while, identities don't work anymore. Working really hard to make money is not an identity I want to keep having. It has led to burnout and it has led to overwhelm and overwork for too long. And it's not good for my nervous system, I've realized. My nervous system loves softness and ease. And the more that I step into this healer identity, the more that I've realized that it's important. Like I can feel how aligned, in tune I can be with the world, with myself, if I give myself that kind of space. And I want to manifest more of that. I want to have that kind of ease, which may look like, okay, I have a job that supports that for a longer period of time but doesn't take up as much energy of mine. It may look like offerings that are not always ones that take up my energy and my time one-on-one. And so I've been building a much more diverse suite of offerings, if you will, in the last several months. You would have seen this job loss ritual that I created, and I have a few more that I've built that I'm in the process of setting up and sharing with you. So more to come on that front. And I share all that to tell you how it's hard for me to envision what is future me who is fully embodied and expressed as a healer. Like, what does she do every day? And what are the offerings in her business? How much is she making? Can she actually support herself with her business, or does she still need a job? Like, I don't know, but I can think as far ahead as, well, she has a job that feels easier and lighter and is nourishing and is so supportive for her business and growth and her clients. I can feel that. I can experience that. I can imagine that. And that's good enough for me right now. So take these prompts, these questions, I'll put them in the show notes below so that it's easier for you to access as well. And see what comes of that journaling and that exploration. Get curious about your identities. Know that these identities are shaped by beliefs. They are shaped by ideas and decisions that you made at a certain point, and now you get to revisit those. They are not set in stone. They're not concrete. Yes, there are some aspects of our identity that, like our skin color, our country of origin, and more, that yes, are set in stone for this lifetime in many ways. And you can transcend those identities, those stereotypes, whatever you might be feeling bogged down by. I really do believe this practice of looking at our identities and the stories we tell ourselves about those identities can be hugely powerful, if I can call it that, in our journey to manifesting our dreams. I've been sitting with whether or not to create our manifesting treasure hunt journey. I've been waiting for the sign and signals, and I don't know. I'm still sitting with that. So if you've got any feedback, thoughts, would it be supportive for you right now at this time? I'm all ears. And if not, and you feel complete with practicing, reflecting, thinking about your identities through this episode, I'm excited to hear what unfolds for you from there. With that, I think that's all I had for today. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for exploring all parts of you. Remember that, I guess one last closing thought here is, we are a multitude of identities. We have so many parts of ourselves. And so it is quite possible that you will feel there's an identity you want to embody in order to manifest something you are desiring, and it feels like it's in conflict with other parts of you. Take that as homework to investigate. Maybe see if there's a way that you can come to consensus around your parts. And if you'd like more on that, I'm happy to record another episode. Working with our internal parts is my jam, is my thing that feels very close to me, to my heart, because I unlocked so much the more that I understood all these parts of myself through trauma work, inner child healing, and so much more. It can be so cool to learn about ourselves. It's a never ending journey of coming home to yourself. So, thank you for being on this journey with me, and I'm wishing you a wonderful day.